You hate yourself a little, don't you? Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly. For the unfinished projects, for the careers you walked away from, for the relationships you sabotaged, for the discipline you never seemed to have. You told yourself a story. I'm just not consistent. I lack willpower. I'm weak. But what if that story is wrong? What if you weren't lazy? What if you were undiagnosed? Imagine reaching your 40s or 50s and discovering that the chaos of your life had a neurological explanation. Not a moral failure, not a character defect, but ADHD undiagnosed for decades. Let that sink in. You built your entire identity on self-blame. And now someone says, your brain regulates dopamine differently. Your executive function struggles with initiation and inhibition. Time perception works differently for you. And suddenly, the narrative cracks. Here's the uncomfortable part. Undiagnosed ADHD in midlife doesn't just create dysfunction, it creates shame, chronic shame. You watched other people do simple things consistently, pay bills on time, show up prepared, finish what they started, and you couldn't understand why it felt like climbing a mountain. So you concluded, they're disciplined. I'm defective. But neuroscience says something else. The prefrontal cortex governs planning, impulse control, working memory. If that system is dysregulated, effort feels heavier. Starting is harder. Stopping is harder. Switching tasks is harder. This is not an excuse. It is an explanation. And explanation changes responsibility. Now let's bring in Epictetus. Epictetus said, some things are within our control and some things are not. Radical statement. Because most of your life you treated your neurology as if it were within your control. You tried to beat it with guilt, with pressure, with self-hatred. But tell me something. Was your dopamine system under your control at age 12? Was your executive dysfunction a moral choice at 19? Was your time blindness a philosophical stance at 27? No. And here is where the rage begins. Because if it wasn't fully within your control, then you've been punishing yourself for the wrong crime. But don't relax too quickly. Stoicism is not about victimhood. Epictetus does not let you stay powerless. He draws a sharp line. Your neurology may not be under your control, but your response to it is. That's the battlefield. You cannot will your brain into being neurotypical, but you can decide. Will you continue the narrative of self-contempt, or will you build strategy instead of shame? Midlife diagnosis often comes with two explosions. First explosion, relief. So I'm not stupid. Second explosion, grief. What could my life have been? This is where many people get stuck. They replay the past like a courtroom drama. If only someone had noticed. If only a teacher had referred me. If only my parents understood. But Epictetus would say something brutal. The past is not within your control. You can analyze it. You can grieve it. But you cannot renegotiate it. Your suffering now is not from ADHD. It is from arguing with reality. Let's go deeper. Undiagnosed ADHD often produces a cycle. Delay to panic to hyperfocus to exhaustion to collapse to shame. Repeat for 20 years. Over time, this cycle doesn't just affect productivity, it reshapes identity. You stop saying, I struggle with organization, and you start saying, I am unreliable. You stop saying, I have trouble initiating tasks, and you start saying, I am a failure. That identity formation, that is where the real damage lives, not in the missed deadlines, in the internal verdict. Epictetus warned about this. He said we are disturbed not by events, but by the views we take of them. Your unfinished degree was an event. Your interpretation, I'm incapable, was the suffering. Your impulsive career shift was an event. Your interpretation, I ruin everything, was the wound. ADHD explains the pattern. Stoicism corrects the interpretation. Now here's the hard truth. Some damage is real. Some opportunities are gone. Some relationships ended because of impulsivity, emotional dysregulation, distraction. A diagnosis does not magically erase consequences. Stoicism is not denial. It is ownership of the present. You cannot control the brain you were given, but you can control whether you continue living unconsciously with it. You can learn systems, external structure, environmental engineering, medication if appropriate, therapy, accountability. That is within your control. Self-pity is not. There is a dangerous temptation after diagnosis to rewrite your entire life as tragedy, to say, "My brain stole my potential." Be careful. That narrative feels powerful, but it quietly removes agency again. Epictetus would challenge you. Is your brain an obstacle, or is it raw material? Some of the same traits that created chaos also created intensity, hyperfocus, creativity, risk tolerance, unusual associative thinking. Your life is not only the graveyard of what you missed, it is also the evidence of what you survived. Here is the mature position. You were not lazy, but you were responsible for learning once you knew. Before awareness, there is limitation. After awareness, there is choice. That is the dividing line. You cannot go back and give your 18-year-old self medication, but you can give your 45-year-old self structure. You cannot undo 20 years of self-criticism, but you can stop rehearsing it tomorrow morning. Midlife. ADHD diagnosis is not a tragedy. It is a confrontation between biology and philosophy, between neurology and responsibility, between explanation and excuse. If you use it as an excuse, you shrink. If you use it as information, you sharpen. So here is the final question. Will you continue hating yourself for a brain you did not design? Or will you accept it fully and then train your response to it? Epictetus was born a slave. He did not control that, but he controlled his mind. You did not choose your dopamine system, but you choose your next decision. Not perfectly, not effortlessly, but consciously, and that changes everything. You were never lazy. You were fighting your brain without knowing it. Now you know. The war changes